Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rise Up Morning Show here, November 19th. We are jingle-less, apparently, right now. I cannot hear it, Alex. It's not on my soundboard either, so, whatever. I'll fix the soundboard later. I'm hosting today because Evan, our phenomenal host, is currently definitely maybe not feeling great today after partying until about 4 o'clock in the morning down in Buenos Aires. So, it's definitely not a hangover. He's just tired.
Definitely.
Definitely. But dude, how you doing?
Good. Good. Yeah. We're like in this little, I know it's such a like cliche thing to do to say I'm good because the weather is nice, but dude, it's so nice that it's like just really hard to be upset.
Dude, I will say, having lived in North Carolina, which I know is not the deep South, but it is officially the South. Mm-hmm. Once you get down to Georgia, like Georgia to North Carolina, for those of you who don't know, during the fall is the greatest weather in the world.
So nice.
The greatest weather in the world, right? You get rewarded for surviving those miserable summers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was 110 for 3 straight months without a breath. And actually this summer it rained more than it's ever rained. I mean, people here are saying this is the most rain they've ever seen in their entire life, and they've been here for 10,000 years. But right now it's like every day is low to mid 70s, sunny, light ocean breeze. Ooh. All day, every day. It's, dude.
How do you feel now, like living at the beach?
10 years younger.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm sure you feel
like genuinely like.
Is it the salt air? Is it just like the vibe of the place? Because every beach town is just like more relaxed.
It's a lot of everything. I love the smell of the ocean. I mean, I cut my teeth and grew up career-wise, literally deployed on the ocean.
Sailor boy.
So it feels like I'm getting some of my salt back, which I lost after not being underway anymore.
Anybody who watches this show would say that you weren't salty enough.
I know, that's true. Yeah, I could always be saltier.
That's
really the big takeaway here.
That's when it's stronger. It's just add more salt.
Dude, it's so nice to wake, because I wake up pretty early, and so tide is flooding in the morning, and as you wake up and the tide is flooding, you can smell the brine from the river filling, because we have a brackish river right behind the island, and then it's the ocean on the other side. And it's such an awesome smell. It's just like so fresh and salty. I love it.
I will also say there are studies that have been done where it's people who live near the water. It's like creativity like dramatically increases, like creative output, whether it's social media, I suppose, but also like art and things of that nature. But also like business ideas and the things like that. Like there's way more patents. Granted, it's like per capita. There are obviously more people that live on the coast, pretty much everywhere. So obviously you'd expect more patents and things like that, but it's per capita. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. Humans like water. Also, speaking of weather, I would just like to point out, to my great chagrin, Tori mentions that speaking of weather, there's also a new moon today, Will. So thanks, Tori. I appreciate it. But hey, if there's a new moon today, wouldn't that mean that Bitcoin would be bouncing or something?
I was going to say, Will, as someone who's an expert in trading the moon cycles, and who I believe I've heard you say more than once, it's actually your favorite indicator. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard you say. What do we take from this new moon?
It means that with the moon juice oozing out of moon cheese, that the stinky moon cheese juice that is flowing to Earth is going to wake up people who weren't buying Bitcoin the other day, and the stinky cheese ooze will wake them up, and they'll go, oh my God. And then they're going to get really thirsty. They're going to go to the store, get Gatorade, and then they're going to tweet about something in retrograde. And then that's going to get other people going, and Bitcoin bounces.
Perfect. Thank you.
I have the charts.
Dude, you're so good at your job.
I'm so good at my job. God. Woo! By the way, I would also just like to point out that if you are looking to earn interest on like USDC and things like that, because hey, hopefully you have a lot of stable coins right now. If not, if there's a bump upwards, I imagine a lot of people might be deleveraging or de-risking into this kind of sketchy market right now. Make sure you are earning interest on your assets, because Bearded, community member of ours, would like to point out that over at DeFi Carrot, you can earn 6.77% on your USDC right now. This show is not sponsored by DeFi Carrot, but I would love to be one day, because those yields are phenomenal. It's over on Solana, by the way, for those of you who don't know.
That's my savings account.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to have 6.77% on your savings account.
What's even more awesome is that that's quite literally the lowest I've ever seen.
Yeah, although I think yesterday was the lowest. It was at like 6% flat.
Oh, really? I missed it. I saw 686 while we were doing the show in the morning, and then
it was that, or it was the day before. And again, Bearded pointed out he is our professional veggie eater.
Yes, Bearded is the chief carrot officer, the chief veggie officer of the
CCO, the CCO, the chief carrot officer. Oh, well, everybody, if you were paying attention to the charts right now, we are a little bit red today, just to let everybody know if you weren't already aware. I personally think there's the potential for a bounce. However, just want to let everybody know that this afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, is going to be a very, 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 very volatile time. Either to the upside or downside, because we have two big things just for everybody to have on their radar screen as we start off today. First of all, at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we will have the Fed meeting minutes released. This is the transcription of the internal conversation of the board at the Fed as they were discussing and making a decision on the last rate cuts that were made in October. What and how this will impact the market is that if there is way more contention at the Fed for having decided on the rate cut, so there was more hawkish talk. There was more people saying we shouldn't do rate cuts right now. That could make the market a little more bearish on the odds of us getting rate cuts in December, right? Or if the conversation was more dovish, or in other words, the conversation was, more people were saying, hey, actually, it seemed like the whole board was leaning more so towards rate cuts than maybe it seemed when Jerome Powell talked, then the market would go, oh, cool, the odds of us getting rate cuts in December are pretty high, right? So that could affect the market at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The other big event is at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, arguably much bigger, because it is NVIDIA's earnings report. Oh no, I dropped my rock. Oh no, where'd my rock go?
If that's not an omen of where the charts are going to go.
Right? I dropped my little rock. It's got this little dent in it. It feels nice. Yeah. So NVIDIA's earnings report gets released. Analysts are predicting a 7% swing in the stock of NVIDIA. That matters because NVIDIA has a larger market cap than the entire Japanese stock market, which is... Details. So that'll swing the stock market as a whole, which would likely affect crypto as well. So just be aware, this afternoon should be very, very, very volatile. Volatility isn't necessarily a bad thing. It could be to the upside. We'll see.
Yep.
Personally,
so the lesson there.
Yeah, go ahead.
The lesson there is, if we've been listening to anything that my grumpy ass has been screaming into the void for the past 2 years, you're set up to take advantage of it because you have some stables and you also have something to sell in case we get an erroneous price spike. Which is exactly where if we're so fortunate, because I was going to ask you, Will, I don't know much about anything, but it's pretty hard to miss the line, like on Solana's chart. It's the only one I ever look at. The line at like the 140-ish region, which is now, was support a long time ago, has now come back around and now it's resistance. And I'm wondering, like, if you see that thing break and we go above it, then I'll definitely take at least some profits. So it's kind of like my line, because the last time I bought was 130. And so I kind of had it in my head that if we see 150, I'm going to sell a good chunk. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. If we go back down again, then I'll buy more instead.
Yeah. It's good to be prepared in either direction. And also, DeWolf, I was laughing because of DeWolfie's comment over on TikTok, which is, I'm 25x leveraged both ways, so we're good.
Godspeed.
Cheers to that. We had changing topics a little bit more so into your realm, Alex. We had a tweet came out that you shared with me this morning that I thought was fascinating in regards to like developers in the space in particular with their experience building on Base. And this person's just kind of sharing about kind of like the overall feeling with Base and what it's like to build on Base with regards to the chain race, meaning, what chain is really going to ultimately win? What chain's really going to bring people on? What chain is really great for apps and decentralized applications to be built on? So I don't know. I guess I won't say anything else. We're sharing the screen here over on YouTube and Twitter. So Alex, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I flagged this just because, like you said, it's interesting to start to get more feedback here from people who have been like building for long enough to have a real opinion about something. It's always hard to take, initial feedback from someone who like walks into an ecosystem and, doesn't get immediate recognition and support, doesn't get a grant on day one, doesn't get a gajillion users, whatever. Like I would cut Chains a lot of slack in that sense, that it's tough to take feedback in that sense. But now that we're starting to get some from people who have been doing this for longer, it's interesting. Because there is a lot of commiseration in this post's comment sections. Although, if you then go through and dig into the quote tweets on it, you can see a lot of pretty interesting responses, including obviously from some people associated with Base and sort of what they're doing and working on. And, my initial reaction, so the gist of this whole post is just like, hey, not sure how I feel about sharing this, but at the end of the day, a big theme at DevConnect and elsewhere in the industry right now is regret to have built on Base. And I think it's really interesting because Base is obviously kind of a titanic force. They are one of the few that...
I think your dogs like Base and don't like hearing these words being shared.
My dogs are Coinbase maxis, apparently.
You have a lot of dog over there.
But no, I mean, it's, as On-Chain Revolution over here on TikTok points out, they're heavily funded. They have a lot of resources. They have a marketing powerhouse behind Coinbase. They have a lot of strength that comes from that side of the house. It's really, the whole campaign, the one of the common themes here is that, the campaign basis for everyone, people feel a little bit misleading because they're actually very deliberate and specific about who they support and why. And I've experienced that for sure in other ecosystems that I've built stuff on. I mean, even going all the way back to, the blockchain formerly known as Elrond days, they wanted everybody. They had really nothing going for them. They were doing a lot to bring in and kind of spread the gospel. And then you get in there and you realize, oh, the only people getting any kind of dev support or any kind of recognition or any sort of attention or anything like that is the few Romanian teams building here, which it's a Romanian company. I get it. But at the end of the day, targeted attention like that from an ecosystem, it really doesn't just it really doesn't just support that one, like the thing getting the attention, even if it's isolated, but it hurts everything else in the ecosystem, because if the chain's not paying attention to something, it's really hard to get any excitement around it, because you feel like, okay, if they don't care, this isn't going to get the kind of support that I wanted to have. I encourage everyone to read this and think about it. And I would say too, use this as an opportunity to hold up a mirror with regards to whatever ecosystem is like your favorite, and think about it from this perspective. Like, following blockchain's corporate account and seeing what they put attention on, what they talk about. Are they talking about a gajillion different kinds of apps? Are they talking about builders in general? Are they constantly highlighting like one or two things? Because I mean, Will, you made some points just about, this kind of in a weird way was exciting for you to read, even though
it was exciting.
It looks like bad news.
It was exciting for me to read because I was looking at the crypto space really being like, all right, from a chain standpoint, it's really just Base and Solana, and you have people trying to fight for, a slice of the pie, but it's a really, really, really uphill battle. And I mean, if you guys have been following me for several years now, I started talking about Base at a time where I was getting made fun of for talking about Base. I was being torn apart in comment sections for saying that Base was going to be big. That's one of the reasons why I was early on Aerodrome. But and now I'm really big on Solana because it has a lot of users. And so while I like Base and I really like Solana, and I still love the Ethereum ecosystem as a whole, I think there's a lot of great things going on there. I don't like the idea of competition having such a steep hill to climb in order to become truly competitive, because competition is a good thing. I'm a little bit of a capitalist. I think competition's very, very, very good and very healthy. I think everybody should. And so I don't like the idea of thinking that a single chain or a layer two is really running away with the market, like really, truly well and running away with the market. And so to see this post, the hill that I thought there was to climb for your Swees, for your Hederas, for your Algorands, shout out to Cosmic if you're here, to like for pretty much anything and everything, right? For your Polygons, for your Optimisms, your Arbitrums, yada, 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 pick one. That hill just being a little bit lower makes me feel really excited, because there's a lot of opportunity still in the space for somebody to really come in, kick ass, and for us to not have like a monolithic kind of monopolistic environment yet in the chain space. You could argue maybe that Ethereum has been that for years. You could definitely make that argument. I would counter that just by saying like the layer two environment really kind of like divides Ethereum up into a bunch of different places to play in that make them all a little bit more equisized to something like a Solana. But I just think it's ultimately a good thing for the space that like no one's really monopolized anything yet. And I think it's good for the applications that can get made. I think it's really good for developers who are just entering the space. It means you still have a lot of options available to you. You shouldn't feel like you're being forced into any one option. And I feel like it's going to continue to help push the space forward from a technology standpoint, usability standpoint, to continue to make stuff that are good for users. Because in that post, you mentioned that even Base isn't really bringing the users, right? Despite them having a really, really good on-ramp to do so. And I think they're still in the top 3 category for being able to do so. But like, doors still totally wide open, which every single blockchain developer should be really excited to hear about.
I think that it's pretty safe to say, though, that as a whole, like no ecosystem is really ready for that conversation yet, though. Like that, one of the biggest things that I see that is holding us back actively is David highlights it in this line right here. The bigger issue is trusting that any chain right now is powerful enough to give apps meaningful distribution. I would amend that sentence just a little bit to say that it's not that the chain itself is not powerful enough to give meaningful distribution. It's that that's never been their focus. It's never been a priority. I've never seen a genuine example of that being the priority. I'm trying to think of any time when I would say that I'm wrong about that. But right, what do I mean by this? I mean, and it's funny that this post came out because I just wrote about this yesterday. If you're a blockchain, I think that you have 2 main categories of responsibility. And I don't think you need to spend a single ounce of time doing anything that's not in any of these 2 categories. You need to incentivize people who can create engaging applications and stuff to come to your ecosystem and build. And then you need to use your power and weight to bring them users. You need to be their marketing department. You cannot expect every solo builder who shows up to also be a marketing department. That's your job. I'm sorry to say. Anything else is superfluous or tangential. Will, your counterpoint to that was, but I want number to go up, which is valid. Like they also have a responsibility to shareholders, right? To token holders, not to, let it languish, not to screw it up, not to mess it up, whatever. I just think we've seen enough examples of that coming as a result of doing the first 2 well. Whereas if you don't do the first 2 well and you try to focus on token price, you will inevitably just keep either 1, running an unsustainable hype machine for as long as you possibly can until it inevitably collapses, or 2, it's just not going to work. And I can't speak to a base experience as a builder, but I can speak to a base experience as a creator. And I have to say it wasn't great. For anyone who was around during the shows, this was now back to the very beginning of when base started. We had Warpcast, which is now not even called Warpcast anymore, and they're trying to do other stuff. My mission at that point was I would love to get someone from the team on. We had been talking about how excited we were. This looked really cool. I like the way that they wrote about centralization versus decentralization, how this isn't decentralized, but we would like it to be someday. And here's the plan, blah, blah, blah. I just thought it was nice, refreshing to read like that. And then we effectively just got kind of jerked around for like 6 months until we inevitably got punted to someone with some seniority who immediately told me that no one has any time to schedule any media appearances. And I'm like, well, that's crazy because you guys all do them all day long, all over the place. So there's something about us that you don't like, which is, again, fine. You don't have to like us.
Tell us that.
But I just believe it's a sycophancy thing. I've tried to draw other conclusions. I think that it's just we weren't maxis. We were like exploring all kinds of other stuff, and we had negative things to say about shit too.
Yeah,
because then I reopened that door several months later when it was brought back to us. We got reached out to from them, and we were like, yeah, sure. You rugged us last time, but let's try this again. And literally that exact same chain happened. They reached out. It was inbound. We got punted to the same marketing exec who just killed us without even thinking about it. Just, nope, sorry, no one has any time in their schedule.
Yeah,
and,
no, I had somebody from the base team reach out to me on Twitter, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, dude. Like, yeah, let's chat. I was like, hey, remember it's the Rise Up morning show. And then I was like, nothing. I was just like,
yeah,
okay.
I mean,
they just want to talk about base, and I mean, that's fine. Their base, okay. Like they just want to have people talk about them, so that's fine. Just stop reaching out to us then. Stop reaching out to us.
Well, honestly, at this point, if someone reached out to me, I'd probably just say like, look, you guys can let me know if you would like to schedule something. Here's the details, but I really don't feel like wasting any more of my time on this. Because I mean, the whole thing too, like we had to jump through a bunch of hoops. We started getting sent all like, hey, could you post this? Hey, post here. Hey, do this, do that, do this. Asking for a whole bunch of like free promo and all this kind of stuff, which is fine. I do free promo all the time for stuff that I like and care about. Not when you're telling me to. And then it was like, oh, well, Dad, don't worry. We're putting you in for a grant. You're going to get a creator grant. And I'm filling it out and it's almost ready. And like, it's good. Spoiler alert.
Never was.
There was no grant. That was never in the cards. And I think it's been like one or two people who like see something like the show. And I feel like I'm whining right now. That's not really the goal. The goal is more to commiserate and like share an experience, but
more so talk about like how our experience at the very least has been interacting with base to shed some light as to how they're making decisions.
Yeah.
Which to me, with that tweet that you showed earlier, where it's like, hey, they're really just pushing like creator coins and like social media decentralized applications is really what they're just pushing. So when base decides they really want one thing, they'll communicate, oh, we want this. But then they'll really just try to drive home one thing in terms of the decentralized applications that they build. And in our experience, they really just want to drive just base communication and like really siloed messaging as opposed to like helping everyone. Because I mean, this comment here from DeWoofy, I feel like is very timely. He mentioned it a little while ago. It was, but base is for everyone. How can this be? It's like, base is for everyone. Only talk about base. It's the only thing because it's for everyone. So it's the only thing anyone should talk about. It's like, well, like crypto's for everyone. Like all chains could be for everyone. Let's talk about everything, anyway.
Yeah, I appreciate the sentiment, but like we are as an industry not at the point where you can say that yet. I'm sorry to say. Like who is, oh man, now I'm drawing a blank on who this was. I saw another really great post the other day. I'll have to dig through. I try to bookmark everything that I find interesting, and I'll sift through it and see if I can find it. But effectively, it was just talking about how, the real competition here is from all of the corporations and institutions that we've invited and allowed into the industry. And we are still over here competing with each other while they are just taking everybody's lunch. And we are not so far along as an industry. Like when we say it's early, that sounds like such a cliche, but it's true. Like we're at the point now where the big powerful people realize money has a lot of velocity here. We can siphon it very quickly. And that's what's happening. You see that with all of the institutional investment products, all of these vehicles, like they all take money out of circulation on chain and move it off chain. That's the whole point. And we are still all competing like chain to chain to chain to chain, even though you're arguing over about 10,000 total users across all of these ecosystems, because none of them have ever left Twitter to do any real meaningful groundwork. Because it's hard, which is so funny to say that in an industry where like we are so used to grinding and trying really hard and working for tirelessly and spending so much time, just doing all this, trying to grow, trying to onboard, trying to connect and, get new people, whatever, to like refuse to try different social media platforms. But so all of it's on Twitter, right? And all the people who are on Twitter, they're already on Twitter. Discoverability is very low. And I don't know, man, it just seems so ass backwards that we are like infighting as an industry while BlackRock is taking your lunch. And we are still like collectively thanking them for giving attention to the industry because this is good for number go up.
I mean, it feels like that's going to change though, because guess what? Number didn't go up. Look where we're at.
Yeah, number went down.
If you look at the yearly candle for this year, it's nothing. It's just a doji candle with just a wick, no body. Price has not moved in a year, this entire year. In fact, price was below when Trump took office, which is crazy. Like it's a wild time. It's a really, really weird candle formation. But also I saw a comment here from Angie over on TikTok where, she said, but Base, reduces fees exponentially on ETH. It's attached to the Newbie exchange. And yes, both those things totally true. The fact that Base has an easy on-ramp from Coinbase is the reason why, for me, Base over the past 2 years has been probably my most used chain. It's definitely my most used chain, followed by Solana, followed by Polygon, actually. It's at 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. And I'll probably keep using Base every now and again because it's just easy for me as a Coinbase user. However, I will say that ever since Base announced that they were going to try to announce a token, I was like, I kind of want to go use Kraken. I was like, I kind of want to go use Kraken, and I kind of want to stop using Base, honestly, because of that, because I just don't like that move. But regardless, I've still been using Base a lot as a Coinbase customer. You're still going to have that on-ramp. It's a great on-ramp. Base is still absolutely like a top 2, arguably top 3 competitor for the chain that onboards the most people because of that. However, I will say there are a lot of things out there that reduce the fees on Ethereum exponentially. Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, Abstract, Immutable X, technically a layer 2 on Ethereum. I'm trying to think of the other ones. There are a bunch. There are a lot. Right? So that's not really a big key differentiator there for that. For Base, it's really the fact that they have the on-ramp from Coinbase. What I will say, though, is if you go back to that tweet, you don't have to show it, but in that tweet talking about their experience building at Base, Base promised the users, and yet the users aren't there, right? Mm-hmm. So clearly, the on-ramp of Coinbase to Base hasn't resulted in users staying on Base. It's really been dependent on like price performance of cryptos, right? Retail coming in to speculate, as opposed to people coming in to find applications to build and use in their daily life, which you would ideally use no matter the market conditions, right? Mm-hmm. So clearly this type of on-ramp isn't, I was gonna say recession proof, not saying that we're in a recession, but like bear market proof, okay? So clearly there could potentially be another model out there that gets people on chain, not through a decentralized exchange, but maybe just through some awesome applications that are available on like the Apple, App Store or like the Google Play Store, right? Something where it's just, hey, it's an application, you open it up and you just happen to be on chain, right? That is the model today that exists that gets people to use applications no matter what the market conditions are, because you found an application. Someone who's able to crush that and have that be their on-ramp, have the application be the on-ramp, not the chain and not the centralized exchange, is going to be the one that ultimately really starts running away with it and can really start building a massive slice of this chain pie, in my personal opinion.
It's interesting because one of the things that we need to get over as an industry is exactly like, is an app not succeeding being bad for the ecosystem from which it came? It's just sort of like, it really speaks to how few things there are overall that exist here. Like if you go into the Google Play Store or the iTunes App Store, whatever, and you're looking through apps, you search a category, productivity, there's 20,000 options. We don't have anything like that. Like if the way that this, let's say Ethereum, gets advertised to someone who's never heard of it before, so it's kind of like an app store, except instead of one company owning and controlling access to it and who gets their app in, whatever, it's more democratized and open and egalitarian. Okay, cool. Where's the app store? Oh, well, yeah, here's the thing. Any day now. And even then, there's not like a place where you can go explore, what it is. It's hard. Like I would not sit here and like bloviate to say that I have all of the answers, but I would say that we are consistently focusing on the wrong part because nothing from the chain side has changed. When we had After Dark last week on After Dark, when we had Icy here, we were talking about like, why is gaming in the toilet? And it's not, honestly, it's not because there's like zero fun games to play. There's actually quite a few that are genuinely enjoyable. They're totally fine. They're better than plenty of non-Web3 games. There's good ones and bad ones and mediocre ones and ones that will succeed and ones that won't succeed. And yet we keep doing the same playbook over and over and over and over and over again. And we're wondering why, as an industry, we're not actually growing. Awareness of crypto is at an all-time high, but most of that is negative. And almost all of it has come out of the politicization of the industry since all of that really ramped up. None of this like new awareness is people who are here because of the ethos, who fell in love with the early stage development of this weird tech, or who connected, fully with something, or who had their lives changed by it. It was like investment opportunity, something new, burgeoning. It has government attention and corporate interest. Sounds good. Let's throw a few bucks at it. Or no, that's a Ponzi scheme, it's a pyramid scheme, it's a scam, it's whatever. Those are like your two big camps of interest. Neither of those people are going to root around and try out an app. They're just not. And I hate the killer app narrative. I don't think it's helpful to say like, oh, well, all we need is like one killer app. No. We need like 400,000 apps, and we need 200,000 of them to be kind of crappy. And we need like some that don't really do it, but you need options. And they need to, like, these ecosystems need to be connected in a way that encourages people to experiment and to own things in different places and to move them around and to use them and to talk about them in a way that doesn't make you sound like an MLM shiller. And we just don't have it. And the shitty part is I don't really see any meaningful progress moving in that direction. Like every time I talk about this at a conference, I always get the same reaction. Like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, okay. And it's like, okay, cool. So like, what are we doing collectively? What are we doing to push this along? It's like, oh, no, never mind. All right. Jay, he made the comment earlier that, these chains have no clue. They just throw money at everything. Not really true. They do waste money, but it's not on everything. It's just repeatedly on the same shit over and over and over again. Evan just had a conversation, Sub-Zero thing, with one of the Polkadot, like works in the marketing thing, and the dude was like, "Yeah, for sure, dude, we've wasted so much money." Yeah, so what are you doing to change that? Nothing. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad we're self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
Stellar, a couple of these other huge ecosystems, massive grant programs. They spend north of 10 plus, 15 plus $1 million a year in grants. What did we get? Nothing. What are we changing for next year? Now we're not getting any grants. Got it. I don't know, man. It's hard because I just feel like we would be making at least some kind of meaningful progress if we just tried new shit. Even if the new thing didn't work, we would like know, okay, we tried. Instead of just like doing the same thing over and over again. Like, let's drop another token and hope this one goes to the moon and stays there. Okay,
I would say that shift is coming, but also, first of all, if they want to throw money away, I'll take some too, Seavish as well. Take it over here. The Rise Up Morning Show could always use more money.
Hey.
Hey, good time to mention that the show is sponsored by
Unlocked.
both of our shirts. Unlock Protocol, Jito, Arculus, Polygon, The White Whale. But we always get room for more sponsors, dogs. So anyway, what I was going to say was, oh no, now I lost it.
Remind me to come back to that.
Yeah, no, totally will. Dang it, what was I going to say? Oh, right.
I don't know.
People throwing money away. I would say that there has been a turn because, I mean, in our conversations with people, like here, our sponsors, we've noticed a larger amount of people just go like, yeah, this isn't working. For like the past year, I feel like it was people saying, yeah, what we are doing isn't working. Oh, okay. Well, here's something different that you could do. Oh, that sounds really good. We should do that thing. We go, you should do that thing. And they go,
yeah.
Oh no, but it's different and I'm scared. And we go,
yeah.
All right, talk to you later. It's like the frog that's put in water that's slowly brought to a boil, and then the frog just stays in the boiling water and dies, even though it knows that it's like, in trouble. But I will say there are more organizations looking to try different things, that are looking to expand their market, and they're looking to try to invest their money in different ways, just like with small amounts initially to kind of test the waters in a bunch of different ways, as opposed to just putting money in the same ways that they have been and not getting the results that they're looking for. It's just slow. It's slower than it feels like it should be for startup companies. Yeah,
like it's like you said, it's go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's the continuous attempts at an evil that even though it's probably not going to work, at least it's familiar.
You also won't get fired for having done the thing that your boss was doing not too long ago too, right? It's seen as low risk and job security high. I'll just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah. And the part that is interesting to me is that there's a huge deviation between what's accepted as like good practice outside of Web3 and then what we as an industry inside of Web3 are willing to take a stab at. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so every single one of the partners that we work with agrees to a couple things that are like our deal breakers. There's no one-off content. You just can't do it. You can't sponsor a video. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care how much you offer me. It's not going to work. It'd be a waste of your money. It'd be a waste of my time. It would erode my social capital and it won't do anything good for you.
And everyone will hate you and everyone will hate me.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I tell them all the time, there's only two, and tell me if you disagree with me, if you're watching, but if someone brand new discovers me through a commercial, that immediately creates your opinion of me as a person. Mm-hmm. And I lose a lot of credibility. If you have already known who I am, you don't need to see the commercial because you're already interested. Or you're not interested because you already know that you don't like this thing, whatever. But it doesn't change your opinion. It doesn't do anything new for the company or the brand that's trying to grow. And advertising is the way that the world runs. I mean, you got to have awareness. If you don't have awareness, no one's going to use your shit. Like, I hate to break it to you, but I mean, that was the Polkadot thesis. How did that work out? Build really cool stuff, tell no one about it, they'll figure it out eventually. Turns out not a single person figured it out. And now here you are. Mm-hmm. Tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars in the hole in marketing with absolutely no users to show for it, no apps to show for it, because they all gave up and left because there's no users. So I don't know, man. It's really interesting. Like, it feels obvious. The obvious thing that I see from looking at this is long-term, like, growth outlook. Be willing to talk about the negatives and the downsides. Like, what do you need to work on? I think personally, like I was talking about with Jito yesterday, I think it's a way more compelling sponsored segment of a show for me to talk about how cool it is that I think they're trying to build like an educational path through the website where you start with the very basic liquid stake, get Jito Soul, walk it to the different, like through the restaking and through the different DeFi opportunities with like little tool tips and things you can click on to like read a quick lesson. It's not good. It's not like well put together yet. But that idea is really cool. I think it's more compelling for me to say, this is a neat thing. Like, here's how I would change it. Here's what I would do. I would like to submit these for consideration. Whatever. I think that's way more compelling than just buy token XYZ. It's going to make you a millionaire. And someday the masses will all be onboarded. And, oh, look, JP Morgan Chase tweeted at us or something. Who cares, man?
Yeah.
And yet that's what we do.
Whenever anybody sees that type of content, they just turn their brains off, they swipe, or they go, okay, I don't like that creator, or I don't like that project, because I immediately think it's a a shilled scam that's going to be a pump and dump. So everybody thinks. But I will say here on the topic of the chain race, on the topic of folks that we work with as well, some pretty cool news came out of Polygon yesterday, out of DevConnect. So Polygon is also now working with Revolut. Revolut is Europe's largest fintech. They have $690 million in volume on Polygon to date. This is primarily used in Europe, but the integration with a major fintech company. And I saw some people I found this note because it got reposted by someone that goes, wow, integration with one of the largest fintech organizations in the world. Token pumps 3%. Yeah, it's just the market that we're in. That's just the market that we're in. But really cool news from Polygon. And, when it comes to stablecoin payments, I mean, they're one of the absolute top dogs. And it's kind of crazy because before we kind of built a relationship with them, I know, Alex, you had a relationship with them for a long time because you had friends who worked there. I just wasn't really paying attention much to Polygon at all. And I was just like, okay, they're just kind of this like chain that's out there that's kind of maybe just kind of if they found their infinite money glitch or whatever, and they're just kind of chilling. And then we started talking to them and I was like, wait, you're the leader when it comes to micropayments for stablecoins? Wait, you also do this work with Courtyard? Wait, what? Like, what's going on here?
Quick question. Why doesn't anybody know that?
Yeah, because they didn't talk about it at all. That's why.
Which, to be fair, when the initial campaign we did with them kicked off, that was how it started. It was like, hey, we dropped the ball. Can you help us pick it up? Absolutely.
Yep. 1,000%.
Within reason.
Yeah.
Like, had the conversation with Evan the other day. I was like, what's kind of interesting? I've never like thought about this like head on before, but if Polkadot like showed up and was like, can we sponsor? I'd probably say no.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to.
Sorry, I shouldn't say probably. I would say no.
I wouldn't want to.
Well, what would you even say?
What would I even talk about? I'd just be like, hey, the show's sponsored by Polkadot. They exist.
They're still here, technically.
Anyway, who wants to talk about hardware? Well, let's talk about Arculus.
But see, it's just you could get it back to a point where I would feel good about it. But for now, if I speak about it authentically, it has to be like, hello, where are you?
And they're like, hey, we sponsor all these events for developers. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Anyway. Thumbs up.
Love it.
Love it. Oh, man. But yeah, dude. Hey, I know you have to head out of here pretty soon. Do you have a hard stop still, or do you have a little bit more time?
I got just a couple more minutes. And actually, I think that this comment on YouTube from Jeff Rascal is a really good one. How is DOT able to give such a high yield? This is such a good opportunity to point out something that we haven't actually. I've never answered that question specifically talking about the yield. I always talk about it from a burn side, like how can chain whatever afford to burn this many tokens, yada yada, whatever. And the answer is because they control the supply. So like they made enough for them to be able to burn enough to be able to advertise to you that they burned enough. The yield is the same thing. When the yield paid through staking is coming to you in the native token, you can set the yield at literally whatever you want. And then it only comes down to how closely is someone going to look at your tokenomics to try to understand like what's the inflation rate at, what's the total supply at, what are we at circulating right now, how much is there to pay out staking yield, is that yield amount variable, is it not? But just remember that when we're talking about tokens, this is the danger of it. This is both the best part and the worst part at the same time. That as it's built and set up, that's when these things are decided. Will and I could launch a blockchain tomorrow that offers staking at 17,000% APY. You could do that. There's nothing that says you can't. Would it fail? Yes, of course it would. That's terrible. But nothing says that you can't. So just keep in mind that yield like that comes from one, especially if it's through a platform. That platform probably just owns a tremendous amount of it, and they really need to incentivize more people to like buy it and do stuff with it, and they need to get rid of it. So if they give more of it away, maybe you'll sell it on their platform. That doesn't surprise me that yield is high.
Yeah. Also, on the topic of burns, too, this comment from Seavish on YouTube says, why do you need to entice by doing burns to get hype for your token? Because it's a marketing ploy. right?
Yeah, it's a marketing tactic.
Also, understand, I've said this a lot the past few days, and I'll keep saying it because the idea of burns is a traditional marketing ploy used by everyone over on crypto Twitter that gets a lot of like new people excited, being like, oh my God, they're going to reduce supply. It's going to be great. But supply and supply in the market are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
Supply in the market is what affects the demand and supply ratio that affects price. Supply in total does not necessarily mean that. So what's the difference? You have supply that's on the market. You have supply held by the company. And then you also have supply that is in some like smart wallet that like issues out inflation of the token over time until that's entirely depleted and the entire token has been pushed out, right? So when organizations say they're going to burn 100 million of our token or 1 billion or whatever the number is, right? Something that gets people excited. That is money that they hold in their treasury. That is not I said money, but supply of the token held in their treasury. That supply is not impacting the demand and supply that impacts price. Because again, only supply that is available in the market impacts the demand and supply ratio that impacts price. So if they burn stuff that's in their treasury, that does nothing to impact price in
It's emotional
way, shape, or form.
It's just emotional. It can drive speculation of the circulating supply, okay, that was a great technical answer as to why it doesn't matter. And the other side of that coin is, like we said, it's all by their own design. Of course, you can, do whatever. Also, I would compare this to early days and like 2021 to 2022 as it cratered and fell off, NFTs, wherein the thinking was that you could just create an NFT with no other effort into anything else. And the fact that it was an NFT would make whatever you were tokenizing valuable, when that's never been the case. We speculated that that would be the case, and that's why a lot of those things inflated like crazy. But like, for example, a good friend of mine texted me the other day. He's a photographer, and he had someone reach out to him and ask if he offers NFTs with his photographs when he sells them. And he asked me, like, should I do this? Could I make more money doing this? And I'm like, maybe, if you already have customers, if people already like your artwork, and if you're doing good stuff, and the NFT can make it stronger, it by itself will not make it valuable. Tokens with burns is the exact same thing. The fact that I'm burning it to reduce supply does not make it valuable. Even if it was circulating supply getting burned and not treasury funds, what am I reducing the supply of? Something that no one gives a shit about? Imagine I walked into your living room and took a shit on your living room floor, and then I was like, hey, no worry, I'm going to take most of it away, but I'm going to leave some of it. It's like, yeah, there's still shit on my floor. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. Thank you so much for burning some of this thing that no one cares about. I guess now technically this pile of crap is rarer. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
So you need a lot more. I mean, all of these things can. Okay, here's an inverse example. I'll make this my final thought. When Ethereum implemented the EIP that started to burn ETH, and then now you have this dance where ETH can either be inflationary or deflationary depending on use and burn rates and all that sort of stuff. There's an example of a burn that was methodically thought out and used to do something that affected a token that many people already cared about, Ether, right? You can do something meaningful in that camp and actually have it be impactful long term, because then it adds all these other things into the speculation pile on an asset, Ether, that people are already interested in, that had institutional interest, that had at that time ETFs in the far off future kind of a thing. So it can work, but you can't just slap burn. You can't just slap high yield. You can't just slap low circulating supply, whatever, onto token dog shit, whatever, and have it automatically become valuable just because of the presence of those mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like the most important thing to making something valuable is adoption amongst its targeted audience.
Go figure.
Wow.
Although we had I wish that you'd been on the After Dark with Icy last week, because we talked about that and how it's weird that gaming is in the point that it's at, despite being one of the very few that actually does have like real gamers trying desperately to get it off the ground. And I think at that point it just came down to like VC pollution. We just let VCs drive it, and they drove it into the ground after getting their quick return.
Because VCs, they get their tokens, they sell them immediately, and the coin goes down in bad marketing.
That's something I got to look into. I'm gonna try to look that up today and see if I can figure out anything about it. But I would hazard a guess that in a concentrated time, more money and more project dilution happened from a VC point of view in gaming than any other niche in crypto. Like in terms of who was raising money at what valuation and how much equity were they getting rid of, and how people then launched the token straight into the VC trap of venture capital buy, next round, KOL round, public sale, dump. I think gaming probably did worse than every other niche.
I mean, that would be my guess. Why it's done so poorly.
Yeah.
I know that we're going to get close to closing thoughts here, but before we do, I'd also like to share some news that came out of Arculus. Again, another sponsor of the show here. They're doing something good for the space, so it's always nice to see organizations doing like the right thing for the crypto organization industry as a whole. So they had an announcement the other day that they are partnering with ChainAbuse to help make it easier to report scams and increase transparency in the space. So ChainAbuse is the largest free community platform powered by TRM Labs. They do a lot in like the financial security space of cryptocurrency. So I'm not quite sure how exactly this is going to work. Maybe there's, through Arculus' services or something, there'll be the ability to just quickly report scams and fraud within the crypto space. So having more easy access to the ability to report this kind of stuff is obviously always a good thing. And it's really cool to see a hardware wallet do that. And also it's great to see, our sponsors doing like the right thing for the industry. There's a reason why we work with certain people and not other ones. So that's just cool to see.
I'd like to see this become a standard, because it's independent of the tech itself. The idea here being exactly what you just said, Will. It's trying to reduce friction in claiming fraud and abuse, especially if you're the victim of a scam. And hopefully, what I would really like to see is, weaving into all these different protocols, just like I said, faster, stronger, more confident ways that you can actually contact someone like from support, even if it's like a decentralized thing, to be able to get a hold of somebody who can help answer a question and explain like what happened or give you your options or whatever. Because right now that really doesn't exist. I mean, your options are basically to like see the corporate tweet post about a thing, ask a question about it, immediately get inundated by bot spam and scam attempts. So I'm hoping that like if this can reduce friction in reporting fraud or reporting a scam like more quickly and more aggressively, that would be great. Because right now your best option is basically tagging Zach.
honestly,
on Twitter, and hoping that one of the 40 billion tags he gets every day is the one that he leans into.
Yeah, you got to have your fingers crossed. But if he does select you, he will put the fear of God into whoever he's about to comment on.
I mean,
thank God. Thank God there's somebody out there. There's
somebody
on
Maxi.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everybody, it is about that time where we need to. Oh God, what does Evan say? Our cats and dogs and our cows and horses and stuff. We're gonna circle those wagons and we're gonna use the moon juice to get on out of here. That's exactly what Evan says. So, Alex, do you have any final thoughts to share? Words of wisdom? Maybe a joke?
No, but I will rug my final thought to answer a question. Someone asked you, so what do you do if seed phrase gets compromised? How do you report? So you can always report cyber crimes to the FBI Cybercrimes Division. I can't say with any degree of confidence that is a route that can lead to resolution in a quick and expedited manner, but it's definitely an option. Depending on the nature of the scam too, there's always like local law enforcement options. And then there are also starting to be a little bit more easy to access crypto-based recovery firms that can help at least figure out what happened. Whether or not you end up having recourse is a different story, but through some good old-fashioned on-chain sleuthing, at least options can happen. However, I will say that if your seed phrase gets compromised, you cannot use that wallet anymore. you need to get into one.
Yep.
Sorry. If there's still anything in there that you have the potential to get it out. Don't put anything new in there.
Mm-hmm. And then my final thought is I just need to remember the sign-offs that Evan does in the morning, but everyone else in the audience does. Tech CEO, right off into the sunset. Take this dog and pony show on the road. Here we go. Someone else reminded me of something. What is it? Oh, no. Oh, I have to let TikTok know I'm not a robot. I'm not a robot. There was another one. Where was it? Oh, yeah. What about the monsters and machines? The machines from Crypto Machinery. And ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset. All right, guys, everybody, just remember this afternoon should be very volatile for markets with the Fed meeting minutes coming out at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and NVIDIA's earnings report coming out at about 4:30, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Maybe it's 5:30. It's after traditional hours of trading. So hold on to your butts. Could be good, could be bad. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. But I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Do good things. Be good people. Make a bunch of money. Bye.